Yes, I was thrilled when the decision was made in the autumn of last year that our church would become an eco-church and that we would apply for the Bronze Award in the first instance of the Our Russia charity. Our Russia was formed about 25 years ago and has grown massively in the last few months, and that's thrilling. There was an announcement just this month in January that every single one of the 42 dioceses and the Church of England in England have now joined our Russia and are becoming eco-dioceses. That's fantastic. We're in good company. And in our own church here, we have a small group that meets regularly to plan the further development of what we should do. My own commitment to this, which Alex has asked me to share briefly with you, started about 12 years ago, where in our kitchen at home, we've always had two bins, a little bit smaller than the ones you've got at the back there. One we put food waste in, which is collected every week by a very efficient local authority, and the other we put stuff for the compost heap. And I have 3 compost heaps at the back of my garden. And I put a couple of tea bags into the food waste bin, and our 8-year-old granddaughter, who was with us at the time, said, "No!" And I was very severely rebuked, as only a granddaughter can. Whoa. "Bob, you put tea bags in the compost bin." And I said, "Yes, Anna, you're right. I won't do it again." And for Christmas that year, my Christmas present from my granddaughter was a lovely painting. You can see it, "Save the World." And that has had pride of place in our kitchen ever since. She is now aged 20 and reading theology at Durham University. So life has moved on a bit, but we're still trying to save the world. And she deliberately put a lovely yellow color as the background, because that's for cheerfulness, because that is the way we should be cheerful if we all get involved in saving the world. Alex has asked me to share a few lifestyle suggestions. And may I make the point that these are only suggestions. I could just as easily have produced quite different ones, but I think they're important. And my aim is that we all think about this and make our own decisions. 1, buy fair trade. Friends, it makes a huge difference in the developing world if you and I buy fair trade. I spent my professional life, the last part of it, working almost entirely in development, and it was staggering, the change that took place. We were in Darjeeling when lockdown started in March 2020, and the tea plantation in Darjeeling, where they claimed to have the best tea in the world, was very proud of their fair trade affiliation. And I spent a whole session with the manager of the tea plantation, and he went through all the changes and the difference it had made since they went fair trade. There is no excuse not to do it. Second is the other side of the same coin. Avoid waste. There was an article in my newspaper this last week. We in England throw away every day enough milk to feed the whole of Kathmandu and the whole of Pokhara, the 2 biggest cities of Nepal, where people are starving, and we just chuck it down the sink. Bog off. Buy one, get one free is the biggest con trick in many times. Not always, but often. You talk to any retailer, they say, really, it should be buy one, chuck the other in the bin. The waste is fantastic. 3, use less plastic, particularly plastic used only once. It is ludicrous that in our supermarkets, our fruit and veg is so often bundled up in plastic bags and containers, and it shouldn't be. Buy loose fruit and veg, not shrink wrapped. It's very easy to get reusable cotton mesh bags. I've got a link, if anybody's interested, where you can buy them very easily. Next, recycle, recirculate. Avoid filling your brown bin that goes to landfill. There are a whole number of schemes whereby people can get rid of things that they don't want anymore and not send them to landfill. Next, use peat-free compost. It should be a criminal offence now for you and I to use peat-based compost. It will become illegal in 2 or 3 years' time, but we should act now. Use peat-free compost. Next, use mugs that will compost. Upgrade single-use cups and water bottles. If you look at what goes to landfill, a staggering amount of it is single-use mugs, plastic. Next, join a street clean scheme or a beach clean scheme. Support climate marches. I know that we are planning later on this year to have a street clean venture from this parish, both in Nork and in Burgh Heath. I hope to see you all there. It makes such a difference. Next, be informed. I now cut out every article from the paper about eco lifestyles, and I've developed quite a big file in a short space of time. Ruth Valerio, who is the Tier Fund rep on this, I know Ruth very well, and she's absolutely committed, but anything by her is worth reading. Next, be informed. Get the information. Next, think carefully about big decisions. You don't rush into it, obviously. What about solar panels in your house? Have you really given it a thought? The Queen has now installed solar panels at Balmoral. Good for her. The Victorian Society has at long last withdrawn its automatic objection to solar panels on church roofs, and more churches are putting them in consequence. Should you buy an electric car? It's a much bigger decision, but it's something all of us need to think about it. Let me come clean. I have solar panels. We've had them for some years. I don't have an electric car, but there are 1 or 2 in our parish that are buying electric cars, and I admire them. And lastly, journey with others. Do not be alone. Join the micro and macro together. No one can do everything, but all of us can do something. Save the world.